Do you want the Vikings to beat the Lions on Christmas Eve? Well, if you do, drop a like on today's video. Don't jinx the Vikings. You don't want to be sitting there Christmas Eve and being like, damn, should have liked that kid's YouTube video. So go down there, like today's video if you guys want the Vikings to take down the Lions. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up, we have a full-blown Detroit Lions versus Minnesota Vikings preview for you guys. We're going to be tackling the first injury news around the Vikings and the Lions, and just diving into everything you need to know about the Detroit Lions and some keys to victory on how I believe Minnesota can escape with a victory this Sunday on Christmas Eve. I can't wait for the game. Let's just dive right into the most important injury news around the Minnesota Vikings. So head coach Kevin O'Connell announced yesterday that Jordan Hicks, his 21-day practice window will start this week, which is great news because Jordan Hicks was having a great year for the Vikes. Obviously, when he went down, it was a little concerning. And, I wanted to throw this up on the video here early. Is this not going to be Ivan Pace Jr. and Jordan Hicks this weekend? A little Kobe and Shaq back to that dynamic duo they had in Los Angeles. Man, but for real, I can't wait to see Jordan Hicks and Ivan Pace both come back together, and both are playing some great football this year, and I think they both complement each other very, very well on the football field. And listen, they're going to be a great tandem this weekend. Like I said, Jordan Hicks was having a great start to the year before he obviously got placed on injured reserve. And he has 87 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. But what stands out to me so much about Hicks is how good he's been in coverage. And that's why I do believe he complements Ivan Pace so well. Because if I had to describe Ivan Pace, it's just that, typical, when he sees the hole, he's going to hit the hole type of linebacker. And Jordan Hicks, he has everything you want to complement a linebacker like that in coverage. He had 4 PBUs, 1 interception on the year. Jordan Hicks really is that type of guy at the linebacker spot. So I think those two together, I think they're going to complement each other very, very well. But some Lions injury news that I do think is very key. Chauncey Gardner Johnson is returning to practice this week. He is questionable to play against the Vikings this Sunday, but, he's a hell of a football player. He talks a lot of smack. He kind of brings that energy to that Lions defense, and he kind of fits in perfectly with what Dan Campbell and kind of the culture he has. So he's supposed to be back this week. Still questionable for game time, but, I'm hoping he sits out. But if he does go, the Lions will definitely get a big boost to that defense. So before we dive into more around the Lions side of things and some keys to victory, we're in a sub battle with our Lions Talk channel here at Chat Sports. We are sitting over just over 21,000. They just passed 50,000. I'm not saying we're gonna hit that before Sunday, but hey, if you guys want to help me out here, drop a sub on today's show and help us out. It's free, easy way to help us, and drop a subscribe down below. Let's dive into it. Let's get to know the Lions before anything here. Just kind of know what their kind of MO is. And, I do want to start it off. They are just one of the best offensive teams in the NFL. They just call a spade. Just call it like it is. I mean, they rank in top 5 in every major statistical category on that side of the football. And a lot of that is credit to Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator. But they're 3rd in total yards, 4th in passing yards. They're 2nd in rushing. They love to get downhill, play that physical brand of football, and that leads them to scoring 27.3 points per game, which is 5th in the NFL, and they got all types of playmakers on that side of the football. But defensively, where they rank, this is where they can get got. And the Vikings, if they're going to want to win this game, they're going to have to put up points. There's no doubt about it because, listen, Lions offense is legit. They can move the ball pretty easily, but they can get got on defense. I mean, they're 23rd in points per game, giving up 23.6. So if I had to call a number right now, I think the Vikings at least got to get to 24, which has been a struggle for them as of lately. But, Lions are a good football team, but if there's any side of the football that's a little weaker for them, it's definitely that defense, and specifically in that secondary where I think guys like Addison and Jefferson can eat. But Jared Goff, speaking back to the Lions offense, he's been fantastic this season. I know it was Cam Newton that came out and said, Jared Goff's a great game manager and all that. Man, Jared Goff's just a straight-up baller. I mean, he's thrown for already 3,700 yards, 26 tuds, 210 interceptions, and he's just a hell of a quarterback. If a dude's open and if he's open and the play's kind of everything's smooth, he can hit that target 1,000% of the times. He does struggle when it's kind of that playmaking side of being a quarterback, but when the play's on script, man, there's not many other quarterbacks I'd rather have than Goff. And now an elite weapon that they do have is Jahmyr Gibbs. He was the 12th overall pick in this past year's draft. He's an absolute baller, man, and he can really get it done in the pass-catching game side of things. They put him in the slot. They throw him a lot of balls out of the backfield. But also when he is running the football, he's incredibly dynamic. 139 carries, just under 800 yards with 7 touchdowns as well. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of those guys where, speaking of Jordan Hicks, Ivan Pace, they're matched up on him. They're going to have to hold their own. And, man, he's just a playmaker. But speaking about another weapon, that's another rookie. The Lions had a great draft last year with Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then obviously Sam Laporta, who's been kind of taking over the NFL kind of waves here as he's probably the best rookie tight end we have seen in a very long time. 71 receptions, just over 750 yards, and 9 touchdowns. I believe he had 3 of them last week against the Denver Broncos, but he's an elite weapon. This is who they replaced T.J. Hockenson with when they traded, obviously, him to the Minnesota Vikings. But Laporta, got to keep your eye on that. But another key matchup that I'm keeping my eye on is Brian Flores versus Ben Johnson. In terms of 2 of the best coordinators in the league this season, I think Brian Flores and Ben Johnson are both up there for a Coordinator of the Year award. And listen, Ben Johnson, I fully expect him to get head coaching job just as much as I do for Flores. So whatever we as Vikings fans think of Flores, that's how they view Ben Johnson, if not even more. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. See how Flores kind of plays this defense against the Lions offense. Probably got to sell out on the run. Going to probably have to leave a lot of the Vikings secondary in one-on-one coverage versus Amon-Ra, whether it's Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield or going one-on-one against Laporta. But that's a key matchup I'm watching is that Vikings defense. How are they able to combat that high-powered Lions offense? Coming up here in just a second, I do want to get into some keys to victory for the Vikings. There's a couple of things that I think if the Vikings do, they can come out with a victory this Sunday. And this is just a very important game for playoff chances, NFC North title chances even. The Vikings want a chance at that. But I do want to give a huge shout-out to Prize Picks, today's sponsor of today's edition of Vikings Now. If you guys go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS, you'll get a first deposit match up to $100. Maybe ask yourself, what is Prize Picks? Well, it's daily fantasy made easy. All you got to do is pick 2 or more players. You're going to choose more or less on their projected stat types and start seeing the cash roll in today. I love using Prize Picks. Anytime I'm watching a boring game, I always add a little extra juice by downloading Prize Picks and just making a couple lineups and choosing more or less on some player stat types. It's a ton of fun. I use it for almost every game I watch, and I guarantee you will as well. So prizepicks.com/CLNS and use that code CLNS, and you get a first deposit match up to $100. Put that link in the comment section and description of today's show. But before we actually dive into keys to victory, I forgot. It is the whiteout game for the Minnesota Vikings. If you guys remember, they did this last season when they took on the New York Giants. Greg Joseph hit a 61-yarder as time expired. It was an electric game, and T.J. Hockenson dominated that game. And listen, I think this is actually a perfect segue to the number 1 key to victory. So T.J. Hockenson, a revenge game. I think all of this hype that we've heard about Laporta and how the Lions, traded Hawk within the division, and all Lions fans are saying, there's a reason we gave you guys Hockenson. There's a reason we were okay with him going to the Vikings. Now they have Laporta, this up-and-coming tight end, where they're saying it's already better than Hockenson. Hockenson proved them wrong this game. Play with that little extra edge and just play like you've been playing all year. Yes, you struggled. I'm not going to lie. I was calling T.J. Hockenson T.J. Droppinson earlier this year because he was dropping all types of passes, but lately he's been great. He's going to finish this year with over 100 catches, over 1,000 yards, and he's just been fantastic for this Vikings offense. No matter what quarterback's been in there, Jaron Hall, Dobbs, Nick Mullins, Kirk, he has been that safety blanket. He's also been that dude to hit up the seam. So, Hawk, if the Vikings want to get a victory this weekend, got to have a revenge game for him. Have him go off. Number 2 for me, limit turnovers. Obviously, we know the Vikings are second to last in the league in the turnover differential this season. And we all know going into any week, you could say this. Limit turnovers, you're going to have a better chance to win this game. But a fun fact and a fun little stat here, the Vikings have not lost a game under Kevin O'Connell when they won the turnover battle. That is crazy to think about. Anytime the Vikings have won that turnover battle, they are undefeated. If you go no turnovers and you just get 1 against the Lions, the stats say you're going to win the freaking game. So it's been biting the Vikings in the ass this whole season, and it's just one of those things where just clean up the turnovers, no fumbles, no fluky plays, and I guarantee you have a good chance to win this ball game. Number 3, number 18, Justin Jefferson. Again, a lot of talk around the NFL about who's the best wide receiver in the league, And a lot of this is around, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, but I want 18 to remind people a lot of who the hell he is this weekend. He was making tremendous catches against the Bengals, but he never really got that big explosive play. So don't overthink this. Get Justin Jefferson the football early and often against the Detroit Lions. Their secondary is very gettable. Very, very gettable. And you add Jefferson in any one-on-one matchup, any 50-50 ball you have with him, give that man a chance, and I guarantee you good things will happen. Just don't overthink this. I don't want them thinking, we're going to use Jefferson as a decoy. We're going to use Jefferson as a distraction for this defense. No, don't overthink this. Get 18 the football, and I guarantee you good things will happen for this football team. Honestly, that should be number one key to victory. That is my bet. Get 18 the football. Don't overthink it. Number 4 for me, get the Jared Goff. That's another big one here. Jared Goff, like I mentioned before, he's having a great year. He's a tremendous quarterback. The plays, on time and on script, he can get it out there, and he'll deliver that ball, on time and on target. But if you get pressure to him, I always think back to that game against the Chicago Bears on that Sunday night when he was with the Rams, one of the highest flying offenses we've seen over the last couple of years in the NFL. But they got home to Goff constantly, and he really looked frazzled. He's a lot like Kirk Cousins in a way where, if he does get interior pressure in his face, he can make mistakes. But again, the play is on script. He will kill you. Got to get pressure in his face. You got to be able to get to him with 4 this weekend. I think that's going to be huge. But before we get on out of here, I do want to get your guys' score predictions down in the comments section for the Vikings versus Lions game. Let me know your thoughts down below. My score prediction, I'm going to go with Vikings get a victory, obviously. I don't think I predicted a game where they'll lose this whole year, so I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to probably I'll go 23-17. I think Flores in the defense has a good enough game to hold the Lions for under 20, but let me know yours down below. And as always, we're going to be live an hour before on the channel. Can't wait. Can't wait for this game. It's going to be Christmas Eve. It's going to be a ton of fun, and we'll see you guys next time. Skol Vikes.